Hello and welcome back to the Project Hercules Diaries. Now we've run into a small issue on the new cylinder head which we're in the middle of rectifying, and it's all around the holes for the sparking plugs. So we're fitting two spark plugs as per the original. This is the diagram here. As you can see, the head is quite thick, so the depth of the thread of the spark plug will only come part way through the head, which means that the spark plug itself, the hexagon around the spark plug here, that part of it will be lower than the top of the head. It'll be recessed, if you like that inside. Now making that hole there with a spot face cutter has been quite a difficult operation. We've tried some mill ends, we've tried the spot face cutter, but it tends to wander a bit, so it's not really about the center here. So to get around that, we've had to put the whole thing onto the big Churchill lathe again, right behind me, just here. So here's the head in the Churchill lathe with the boring bar in situ, and that is the hole that's been drilled and tapped at the end of it, and slightly opened out, but it needs to be opened out quite a bit further so we can get around the outside of the spark plug with a socket. So there's two of these holes, and the plan is to bore them with the boring bar on the Churchill lathe rather than use a mill end or a spot face cutter, because it's a bit more precise. You probably can't see from this angle, but that's the other spark plug hole, and the hole has wandered a little bit. So while the spark plug thread is where we want it, the larger hole to put the socket over the outside of the plug isn't quite where we want it. So it's all rescuable, but it's just another pain in part of the production of the engine. Now you're probably aware of this, but there's two types of spark plugs, well, many types of spark plugs, but some have got quite a narrow hex on them, mostly found in motorcycles, and some are quite a bit thicker. And if you limit yourself to one type of thread, so one type of socket on the top of the spark plug, you limit the range of plugs which is available. So what we want is we want to have enough clearance here to fit the largest socket, and then we have the option of using either type of plug, because the thread is generally common between them. So that there are two or three sizes and there are sort of different standards, but if you limit the size of the hex, you also limit the range of plugs you can get. And as we don't quite know what the perfect plug is going to be, that it's something that we want to have a few more options when we do the fine tuning later on. So it's been a bit of a mission, it's been a bit of a pain, a fair bit of setting up there behind me to get that onto there, because obviously that's not something that happens overnight. And in terms of getting that clocked on, how do you clock on the very center of the thread of the spark plug? I can just imagine people typing in the comments now. What we've done to enable that over here is to take one of these sparking plugs and to put it into the thread, screw it in, turn round, if I can focus this, turn around the thing on the top of the spark plug. Not quite focusing. The top of the spark plug, that one's gold, has one of those things onto which the old type of electrodes used to screw. You unscrew those and you screw them back on. And old plug leads had a little hole in it and they were screwed on. Newer plug leads push over the top. Sometimes you undo that completely and chuck it away, and the plug lead grabs onto the threads. So that has got a parallel portion at the bottom, so by unscrewing it, taking it off, turning it over, screwing it back on, we're actually able to clock onto that face there with this here and get it within about 5 thou. So and it's only a clearance for the socket, but that's pretty good going. So that's where we're at. It is a beautiful sunny day today, and if it doesn't rain before midnight, it will probably be the first day this year where it hasn't rained between midnight of one day and midnight on the rest. It's been a very wet year here in the UK. So this afternoon I'm going to just pop out for a little bit of a ride, and that will be it for the weekend, unless I come back and get all excited and drill some holes in the gearbox. So there we go. That's it for this week. As usual, thank you for watching, and more updates will follow.